to. If you're making any intentional decision for your health, like I'm going to clap for you every time, right? Anytime you make an intentional decision for your health, you're doing the right thing, no matter what that health decision is.
I'm here today with Craig McCluskey, one of my really good friends, somebody that I met through ITN and the Model Health Show. What has been over a couple of years now, but Craig, it's been such a pleasure being friends with you and getting to learn about you and all that you're doing, and even more so now to have you on the podcast. So welcome.
Oh, thanks, man. It's been really great getting to know you over this past, year and a half now. I think we've had a friendship going, and it's just been a great past year. And I appreciate you having me on.
Of course. Like a lot of interesting people and how they get into health coaching and all the different people we look up to and listen. There's some kind of interesting story or experience that leads them into health coaching. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your background and how you got into IT and coaching and the resident nutritionist for the Model Health Show.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think with most people that kind of get into this field, it starts with like their own health struggles growing up. For me, I grew up in a very loving home with my mom's parents, my grandparents, but at the same time, it wasn't necessarily the healthiest environment. It was more or less the standard American diet, right? You just grow up eating fast food and everything. And even though I had a grandfather that liked to cook meals at home, a lot of the quality of the ingredients weren't necessarily the best. White breads, vegetable oils, and things of that nature. But just growing up, despite the standard American diet and everything, I had a pretty good childhood growing up, but I played a lot of sports. So right then and there, like just playing sports, you're more in tune with your body, right? You coaching basketball and playing basketball, playing sports, you have to really be in tune with yourself. But at the same time, what I didn't realize then was that just because I was an athlete and playing sports didn't mean I didn't understand what true health really meant. Right. And so when that kind of changed for me was maybe when I was about 20 years old and I was in college. I knew I wanted to do something in the health field. I was thinking maybe nursing or something along those lines. But I didn't really understand what exactly I wanted to do. So I entered as undecided, right? I went into college undecided and I was starting to take all the prerequisites for the health field. And so I started taking the biologies, the chemistries, and even the nutrition classes. And this is the point when I took this entry-level nutrition course my freshman year. This is the point I knew I wanted to just do everything I could with nutrition, because this class, I was the only person in that class to get over 100% in this basic level nutrition class. And it was my only class that I've ever got over 100% in. And I knew right then and there, I was like, I think nutrition is pretty cool and everything like that. But that was really like one of the catalysts. When I look back, one of the little moments that really just was one of the big moments in my life that kind of defined the trajectory, But kind of speeding up the story a little bit, at that same time, I was going through my freshman year of college. Like any good college student, dude, I was I'm sitting in class, scrolling through Instagram, right? Just sitting there on my phone, not paying attention to class. And somebody that I knew at the time posted about this new podcast. This was back in 2013. Posted about this podcast that had just come out maybe a few months ago. And it was the Model Health Show, right? And so for people listening, it's one of the top rated podcasts in the health world. And at that time, I was just a big fan, right? Like a big fan listening to Sean and his work. And so for the next couple of years, maybe into 2015, I just dove into everything because I was listening to his guest. I was listening to all of the work that he talked about. It led me to reading other health professionals' books, not just limited to what I was learning in my college courses, right? And so coincidentally at that time in 2015 now, I'm a sophomore, junior in college. And I tell this story quite a bit because it's the number one thing that has made me want to be a health coach and help people with their health. But I remember the day very vividly, but it was February 19th, 2015. And I'm commuting to my college, my university at Penn State. And it's about 7 a.m. I wake up, it's like a Monday or Tuesday morning, and it's 7 a.m. and my dad comes into the bedroom to wake me up. And at this point, I'm 22 years old. I'm a sophomore in college. I just knew, your dad doesn't come in to wake you up, right? Your dad doesn't come in to wake you up. For me, at least, he didn't come in to wake me up at 22 years old. So I knew right away something was off.
Yeah.
And he comes down, leans into me, wakes me up a little bit more, and I could just tell something was wrong. So I sat up in bed, and I can still see the face. I can still see his face and the tears in his eyes. And he just looked down at me, and he was struggling to get his words out. And he said, "Hey, I don't know how to tell you this, but your uncle Nathan, he didn't wake up this morning." And he was choking up, holding back the tears and just choking as he was saying that. And I was so confused. I was like, "What do you mean he just didn't wake up?" And he said, "I don't know. I just received a call from your aunt. I'm going to go over and check it out." And Solomon's, man, to make like a long story short, he was 43 years young, and he had a massive heart attack in his sleep. And um, that was a really defining moment in my life. And I struggled for a couple of years really trying to put a meaning to that. And here's the thing, like, he wasn't outwardly unhealthy. Like, he wasn't outwardly someone that you would look at and just say like he's morbidly obese, or somebody that just didn't look like had an outward appearance of health.
Yeah.
But on the inside, he had high stress levels. He definitely didn't have a good diet. He worked a lot, and he didn't move that much. But the thing was, he loved life. And that's the thing that I really got from him, is he was like a second dad to me, and he just loved life so much. Anytime I was with him, he showed me just how to have a really fun life. And it was devastating when that happened to me. So that moment really just kind of sparked something inside me to really just learn as much as I could about health. And that led to me, again, like listening to other podcasts and other guests. It really just led to me taking chances and flying across country to attend live events, which, you're familiar with, going to Dr. Joe Dispenza's events and everything like that. But, putting yourself out there at these live events and just immersing yourself into the world of health. And I mean, it's been ever since then, 2015, just since then, I've really just been on a mission to really just engulf myself in as much health materials that I can.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for sharing and being open and share that. I know you shared it a couple times and with me before. One of the things that stuck out when you were just sharing that is like when you were saying you played a lot of sports growing up, and myself too. And you mentioned how your whole like perspective almost of what health is kind of changed. Do you feel like your not just was it health, but your just whole perspective of how you saw everything changed? Like the more and more I got into health and saw like, wow, there's like, health isn't just, fitness and nutrition. It's, mindset. It's, your relationships, across the whole board, kind of everything, honestly. Then I started like looking at things differently. Like things started having a deeper perspective. You no longer like kind of judge things because, oh, there might be more to that. Can you touch a little how you felt like maybe like even with those experiences and however intense like the passing of your uncle really kind of carved into this wonderful perspective that you have and that you're able to bring, that you're able to help with the different individuals with the Model Health Show and with different people that your clients or just other people that you're helping, by able to kind of dig deeper and see where somebody could really use some help.
Yeah, that's a really great question and point you bring up, is that health isn't just one thing. And I think in our society, especially in the media, we're told it's just kind of black and white, that health is eating one particular way, it's exercising, and it's, now in the past couple of years, it's been more about sleep and recovery
Yeah.
aspect. I think athletes kind of get that, right? They understand that nutrition can impact their performance, that sleep can impact their recovery, and all these things. But as you brought up, health is multifaceted. And that's something that I kind of started to piece together. I maybe intuitively maybe understood that, like it makes
Yeah.
sense, like growing up. But more so in the past like 5 years is something I've really wanted to uncover, and what I call our our like human roots in a way, that we have many different foundational pillars of health. And this is something I like to talk about a good bit about, but we have, first and foremost, I think we have our like our spiritual roots, right? Like
Mhm.
our purpose, our driving forces in life. Like, what are you on this earth to do, right? And I think that's where you bring up many great points in your work, is meditation and just really being alone with yourself and your thoughts to really figure out what exactly is that, right? And
Yeah.
we're all on a journey to kind of figure that out. But then there's also, pillars of health such as the sleep, the
Hmm.
nutrition, the exercise, or more appropriately, I like to call movement, because, I like to think that we're just designed to move our bodies, right? Have fun, move our bodies in very strategic ways, not necessarily designed to exercise, because our ancestors didn't really go on jogs or exercise. They just evolved over time by moving their bodies in very specific ways. So I'm a very foundational person in just thinking that we just need to move our bodies in those very specific ways. But certain people might need different types of movement for them at this particular point in their life.
Hmm.
Somebody might be so stressed out that doing a high intensity workout might be more detrimental than it would be for them to do stretching and yoga and walking, right? And
Hmm.
so, you bring up this point that health is very multifaceted, and that everybody is unique, and that we need individualized protocols and health coaching to help each individual person. But for the majority of people, just fine tuning their nutrition, fine tuning their movement practices, fine tuning their stress, because that's another component, right? The stress component. All these little things, a majority of people can just really up-level their health by just getting to know the right information and applying these pillars, but then fine tuning it to their own like bio individuality of what they need.
I like it. What would you say, or how do you approach is generally like the first thing or most important thing? Because what I've learned, and like you brought out with going with to different retreats, like meditation retreats that I've been on, I felt like the nutrition, although I love it, and you and I talk about it quite a bit, but it's no longer like the main thing for me. It's like a supplement to the mindset, the perspective, because it's still like an external thing. And with the different things we've learned about, with growth in psychology and with meditation and mindfulness, etc., you can have a profound effect on your life, internally without anything external. So how do you
Yeah.
kind of address that, and when you're first speaking to somebody about their health?
That's the thing. Inside my new program that I just launched, the 60-day LMT challenge, and we'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
But um, anytime I have a client or anytime I'm working with someone, I always like to address that component before any other external lifestyle change. So
Yeah.
I always like to, because I can give somebody a meal plan, I can give somebody sleep tips, I can give somebody a workout program. But if you're not dealing with what's going on in your head and your heart, you're never going to be able to apply these changes long term. And because we all have limiting beliefs placed on us, whether that's from society or by ourselves, that maybe we aren't good enough or whatever it may be. And so, anytime I take on a client inside that program, the 60-day LMT challenge, the very first phase is talking all about how to address what's going on inside our head and our hearts. And that's one thing that everybody needs to work on, because in our like high paced, high stressed out lives, that's something that we all, just could use a little bit more help with, and a little bit more compassion from others with, is that kind of aspect of health. And once we get that dialed in, once we get, you're never going to be perfect, but you can really start to just see things differently and really just uncover things about yourself you might not have really realized. And once you start to get better 1% every day, then you can really start to make the nutrition changes, the sleep changes, the movement changes,
Yeah.
and you're going to be a lot more apt to sticking with those long term.
The change just all those other the lifestyle kind of behavior changes kind of just naturally come as a result of the changing internal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So diving into the LMT challenge, because it's the most recent, most latest, just launched this year 2021.
Yep.
Can you? I'd love to hear a lot more about it, as well as all that you just mentioned. What action items do you have for individuals taking it that begins to build that awareness so that they can begin that change transformation from inside out?
Yeah, so the 60-day LMT challenge is something that's been in just in the works for the past couple years. And I think it's one of those things as a health coach, as a budding entrepreneur, somebody that's just starting out. Like all entrepreneurs, we work and we just kind of perfect it along the way. I didn't know what the end result of this program was going to be, but just by working on it, fine tuning it over the past couple years, it's really become what it is now. And in 2 years, 5 years, it's probably going to change again, right? But really starting out, what I wanted to do was create a program, and the 60-day LMT challenge is a three pillar program. So I have three different versions of this program. The very first version we can talk more about, but the very first version is the one that I just launched this year, 2021, to start a New Year's challenge. But this is on my end, like another coach's end. So if there's any other coaches out there listening, feel free to, just kind of, run away with this. But on my end, this pro version of this program is fully automated. Because one of the things that I really want to do and to press into culture is to help people that need this information, like low income individuals that might not have access to healthy food in their cities. I wanted to create a program that was affordable, that had really great information that they could just go through this program and apply immediately, because I didn't want finances to be another barrier for someone to have access to getting high quality information. So that's what this first beginner level of this program is. But then I also have other options of this same program to where they're a little bit more, investment worthy, where you buy more time with myself, like one-on-one throughout that program, like weekly consults with myself. You get like hair and saliva testing for nutrient imbalances and things of that nature. So there's different options available for whatever the goals are for that unique individual. But starting out in this program, I have a welcome, introductory section of videos where people get their meal plans, their workout program, the 60-day workout program, access to my supplement dispensary. As a health professional, I can create customized protocols for my one-on-one clients. And then once they get through that little welcome, 1 week welcome, then they go into one more week of Metabolism 101. And this is where I have about 12 hours worth of videos, just kind of outlining how your metabolism actually works to promote energy, create true energy down to the mitochondrial level, how to actually burn body fat, how to build muscle, and just how each one of your organs actually works to, because your metabolism isn't just your one area inside your body. It's actually many different moving parts. And that's one thing I wanted to walk people through and just kind of create that structure and that foundation for everybody going through the program. So that way, when they start day one, they start this program day one after they get all that information, then their 60 days begins. And so then after that point, it's a 3-phase program. Phase one, like I've already touched on, is that liberation phase. And before, while they're going through the meal plans, while they're going through the workout program and everything like that, then the liberation phase is where they have many different lessons from me, just kind of helping them to liberate themselves from all the limiting beliefs that they've maybe had placed on them since they were young. And then we move on throughout the program. The momentum phase is phase 2, and the thrive phase is phase 3. And throughout that program, throughout the 60 days, there's lessons from me teaching them about every aspect of health, right? So the stress component, which we talked about, nutrition, sleep, movement, many different pillars of health. And so after that program's over, it's my goal to help that person see health differently and to help them I don't want them to ever have to go through like another program again, because if I've done my job properly, they've learned what to do and they've learned about all this information. And if they want more one-on-one coaching with me, they
Mhm.
can get it and do that long term. And so they've reached their goals, or they feel comfortable enough to start making these changes by themselves long term. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what the program is about.
So in each, like on the daily lessons, somebody goes through and like it's a lot of content. I remember you were kind of showing us in our mastermind group uh, all that kind of goes into it. How do you, what are the, like, are there activities that somebody taking it does that helps bring rise to, everybody's limiting beliefs and perspectives are unique to them. So are there different kind of like journaling activities or short meditations to where the person can realize, oh, I've actually have been you know I haven't been behaving so worthy, although like Craig through this science and all that he's explaining is showing me that, yeah, I am a worthy person. I am, enough and abundant, all these great affirmations. But different limiting beliefs, when you start chipping away at some limiting emotions, it brings rise to others.
Right.
How
Right. So, as far as like lessons and everything like that, when I talked about that metabolism 101 section, there's actually quizzes inside there that you can go through. And each one of those lessons, there's a quick 20 to 30 second, 20 to 30 question quiz. So, for example, inside the mitochondrial lesson, there might be like oxidative stress quiz to see if you have more inflammation inside your body than you should. For the thyroid metabolism lesson, there's thyroid health quiz. You can see it's not to diagnose or treat anyone with anything. It's just to take the quiz to see if you are, maybe you have a thyroid issue that maybe you didn't know you had, and if you want more one-on-one coaching with me, you can upgrade to that one-on-one coaching, right? So there's things like that where it gets them more personalized results. As far as the limiting beliefs and things like that, I do in week 1 of the program. So phase 1 is the liberation phase, as I've said.
Mhm.
That's weeks 1, 2, and 3 of the program. And there's several different lessons throughout there. I have in week 1, there's a meditation masterclass.
Cool.
So there's a video on meditation and kind of myths surrounding meditation, and which I know you'd probably be really interested in learning about or teaching me about even. But there's that is the meditation masterclass with PDFs on how to do it effectively and how to gain value from just kind of being alone with your thoughts, and really just affirmations, right? There's an affirmations lesson in there as well, like how to reaffirm to yourself every day that you are enough, and how to put these practices into action every single day. And it's like that throughout the entire program. There's
Yeah.
PDFs, lessons where I just walk the client, the individual through, and it really helps them to see things a little bit differently.
Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in. I have to see what you put together in that meditation section. But it's I like to see the nutrition helping to get the body in like chemical balance, because
Mhm.
then when the body's in more chemical balance, it's all you can, with practice of meditation, put it in more of a energetic kind of balance. So they
Yeah.
really kind of complement each other very, very well. Um, Diving into more of the like nutrition and the supplement, because of a lot of it is personalized. How do you encourage or recommend individuals where to start? What are the different tests you have people do? I know we've talked about, and I think I got it through your um,
Mhm.
affiliate thing, the bioenergetic testing.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the thing, like I mentioned, that there's 3 different levels to my programming, and what you would get in the second 2 options working directly through me, like a one-on-one approach, it includes, right, the weekly consults with myself, the 9 weekly consults, but it also includes this bioenergetic testing that you just mentioned. And this is a non-invasive, it's hair and saliva testing. So you just take a cheek swab and you cut out a little piece of your hair. You send it back in. It takes about 1 to 2 weeks, depending on where you live at in the United States or Canada. And you send it back in, and you get a lot of results. You get testings on all of your organ system performances. So you'll see how well each one of your body systems is functioning on like a scale of 0 to 100%. You also get your food and environmental sensitivities. So when I did this, I'm really sensitive to dairy. And I kind of just knew that when I would eat dairy, I would maybe get a little bit more mucus, or I might get some acne or just weird things like that. When I cut out the dairy, it goes away. And this test just kind of reaffirmed that, but also some weird things popped up there on my scan, like EMFs, just weird things like grass, like things like that, things in our environment. You also get your hormones tested. So you figure out which hormones are in balance or out of balance, as well as your nutrient deficiencies. So it'll tell you if you're maybe deficient in vitamin D, if you need to elevate those levels, or your amino acids or your omegas, or just anything like that. And the cool thing about this test is it also lets you know what resonating toxins that you have inside your body too. So it'll let you know what types of molds, or if you have Lyme, like a specific strain of Lyme disease in your system, different types of viruses, parasites, and things of that nature, to let you know if you have any of these things in your systems. And so at the very end of this test, it'll give you a recommended supplement protocol or lifestyle factors as well. So we can go through, and I can recommend a specific protocol for you, for anybody that has anything going on, to help to detox properly or to restore these nutritional deficiencies, as well as set them up throughout their program a little bit more, in a customizable way. So that way, whereas maybe one thing is beneficial for someone else, like dairy, maybe it is beneficial for someone else. Maybe it's not as beneficial for this person. You know what I mean? There's things like that. So it's just a very customizable approach to help with the individual. So that's the option that I have in my upper 2 levels of this program. Yeah.
How do you let's see, kind of, I don't know about complement, but with the different resonating toxins or things that somebody may be sensitive to, there can also be like a mental kind of reaction to that. So say because I did the test and it said I'm sensitive to coffee, and I realized that it did help, like getting off like the point of like needing it. So now it's like I have a healthy relationship with it. But at the same time, I feel like getting back those results kind of created a reaction to where I would hesitate in having that certain food or whatever whatever it said I was sensitive to.
Right.
So like on one hand, like it was very cool and somewhat beneficial, but at the same time, if I'm allowing a test to show, oh, you're sensitive to this, then I'm kind of like allowing that other external kind of thing to control how my body reacts to it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
This is something
now I have no reaction to the coffee, or I think it even said like walnuts. That's my favorite nut. Like I just because after that test, I would look at that coffee or that nut with a little bit more of a hesitancy, like, oh my God, is this going to cause me to feel this way? And then I realized, I mean, it takes quite a bit of awareness. But then I realized, oh wait, like I can just shift, how I'm looking at this.
Right. And this is one thing that I really wanted to, I'm glad you brought this up. I love that you brought this up, because
this is why I love meditation.
Right. Yeah. It makes you think a lot clearer, of course. But I want people to do these scans because for myself, I've talked to you about this many times, but I would never have known that I was having, I had what I thought was psoriasis on my face for a while, a couple of years. But I did one of these scans, and it turns out that what I thought was psoriasis was actually a fungal infection. And it's crazy enough, but once I realized that this scan showed that I had a very rare form of candida in my gut that was presenting itself as a fungal infection on my face, I could treat it differently. I could treat it better, right? And so that's one of the pros to like doing one of these scans. But at the same time, you brought up, you know, it might create this morality or this shame or guilt or this good versus bad
The
surrounding,
resistance, yeah.
right, surrounding the food. Because like you just said, coffee showed up on your scan and it showed that you're sensitive. So then it's like, if that's something you really enjoy, like I'm in my program as a coach, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you like you have to do this, cut or dry, you're a bad person if you don't do this, right? I'm very conscious, I'm very careful and very cautious of how I word things in my lessons, because I have a lot of people coming through this program right now. I have a few clients coming through this program that their main goal is just to help their relationship with food. They want to
Nice.
feel like they aren't a bad person if they eat a slice of pizza. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, 100%.
and
That's like the main, that's like with the people I've started helping as well. It's like that's the main
yeah,
thing, is just the relationship.
I think there's so many people out there, and I think we've all gone through this, even like as health professionals ourselves, right? We go through these bouts of whatever it is, you
Mhm.
know, like shame or guilt or whatever. But I think, you know, a lot of people are waking up to the fact that this is a goal that we really need to work towards. And I want to be compassionate and empathetic towards people inside this program. So I'm very conscious of the way that I word things, and it's all goal dependent, right? Somebody coming through the program might have specific goals to just help their morality surrounding food. And if they're doing that test during our weekly consults, you know, I'm really going to work with them to help them to see that it's not about taking out that coffee. It's not about taking out that walnuts per se, because it's all goal dependent. If their goal is to maybe help their digestive issues and that coffee or whatever that food is causing that issue, maybe remove it for a week and see. But, you know, if it is that thing, if it's contributing to that, then you at least know, and you can go forward and make the informed decision for the rest of your life. And
Yeah,
we can work together on the mental aspects of things throughout that program. So that way I can help you and you can really help yourself to not feel that shame or guilt surrounding that food. But that's never to say that you can't have those foods again. It's just being informed and making that informed decision.
I think you brought up or at least you helped me see that it's, you're kind of taking like a double-edged sword approach, or like you're hitting things
Mhm.
for with two directions. With this like with this scan, you're able to and see, like, for yourself, that you found out that it was a fungal infection. You can address the situation with the different foods. So like I think I mentioned earlier, getting the body into chemical balance. And then with the meditation, you're hitting it in the mindset work and changing, you know, the body's own ability to heal. Then you're kind of addressing it through this healthy external um, foods, along with the internal change in approach and relationship. So it's I think you helped me see it. It's you're really just getting more you're changing the health with a lot more ways.
Right. And that's what I believe true health is all about, is that you can't just, because everything's interconnected, you know, like your relationships are going to impact your stress levels. Your stress levels are going to impact whether you stress eat a certain food or not. And the food you eat is going to impact how your mitochondria work and your stress level. Like all these
And
things are just
even if it's a health organic food, if you're eating it out of a state of fear, it's just
exactly. And that's one of the lessons that I have inside the first phase is how to overcome emotional eating. And I have like 10 or 13, I think 10 different tips on how to overcome the emotional eating aspect of
well,
things. And that's one thing that I think a lot of people really need. And I'm glad I put that in that program. But yeah, I mean, you can't just treat one aspect. And I think that's one of the things that you and I going through ITN and everything, they helped us to see that, and just getting out there practicing ourselves, is that, you know, you have to address the whole individual, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, I'd love to hear a little bit more about now the supplements, and you have the supplement guide, Smarter Supplementation, and at the beginning you really address, you know, how a lot of stores, local stores, and even online retails have some fake and fraudulent supplements. Can you touch a little bit about even with eating healthy nutrition, even with um, practicing meditation and all that we've spoken about, what's the benefit and even possible necessity of supplements, and which ones most importantly?
Right. Yeah. So smarter supplementation, that's been a couple reiterations of, forming that too over the past couple years, I guess. But first things first, I always recommend that food first. And I've heard people tell me that if you're eating a well-rounded diet, if you're eating your diet that you're supposed to, you don't need any supplements. And part of me is like, okay, I see you, but at the same time, there's so many different moving parts to this where I think, supplementation can really help, but I always recommend food first, lifestyle
Yeah.
first, and then for a little bit more insurance, sprinkle a little bit of supplements in there. But inside my guide, Smarter Supplementation, I do recommend that a majority of people can benefit from taking certain supplements, but let's address those lifestyle pieces first and then move on to how to actually supplement. But you brought up another point that the supplement industry it can be very, just in a way it's very kind of, sorry,
Yeah.
was that my end?
No, that's mine. That's just what comes with recording at home.
Dude, I got my dog laying right here next to me and I was worried this
Sorry
whole time.
about that.
I was worried he was just going to get up and start barking, but he's sound asleep right here. No worries. um but the supplement industry is it's like over $100 billion industry, and you can go anywhere and you can see just supplements on the store shelves and you can see all these different brand names. And how do you know which one is going to be good or bad? But there's so many reports and there's so many studies that I link to inside that guide that show that, there's been science done that shows that inside, just you go to a Target or a Walgreens or a Walmart, and there's a study I pointed to inside this guide that you can just grab these supplements off the store shelves
Yeah.
and they're just going to be adulterated and contain things like, as crazy as it sounds, they can contain things like sawdust or just random stuff, right? And when you're talking about like oils in particular, like fish oils, these fats, these polyunsaturated fats, they're very easily oxidized. And the things that oxidize these oils, you can think of
Just more,
oxidizing as
more
just like,
inflammatory.
yeah, yeah, it's just like kind of rusting in a way, right? These molecules break down and they just oxidize your cholesterol and things like that, and inflammation, right? But light and heat is really the things that are going to break those fats down, right? If you cook butter on hot on your stove, it starts to get brown and starts to smell bad. That's it oxidizing, right? Those are the proteins inside that butter, right? So fish oil in particular, if it's sitting on the store shelf in a bottle and it's being broken down by light, or if it's been stored in a warehouse that has fluctuating temperatures, like sitting in an Amazon warehouse with fluctuating temperatures, how do you know, one, if that fish oil actually is fish oil? Has it been adulterated to contain fake oils? And a lot of the ones on the market do contain fake oils just so companies can save a quick buck, as well as, they're being broken down and being oxidized. So you really need to take precautions and take measures to make sure that the supplements you are taking are great, like high quality professional grade supplements, as well as you don't want to just try and spot treat things with a random multivitamin that might skew the nutrients inside your body out of balance, because
Oh,
you're taking like nutrients in, and different vitamins, different minerals can actually rob your body of other vitamins and minerals, right? So you need to have them in a proper balance. And this is where just eating like whole foods comes into place, right? Our bodies expect these nutrients from food, but doing one of these scans, seeing what hormones and nutrients, are going on inside your body, then we can start to supplement more intelligently. And what I have in place inside my program, and what a lot of other health coaches are picking up on, is going through this, what is called a supplement dispensary. There's many of them out there, but I use one in particular. And it's what they do is They sift through the best quality supplements. They third party test them to make sure that what's on the label is actually on, like, inside the supplement
Yeah.
itself. And they store them appropriately, right? They're not being exposed to light and heat. And then when you order them
This is
through,
full script.
this is full script. Yeah, I use full
Wow.
script. And so the thing
I
is,
didn't know they did all of that.
yeah, they're great. And there's many different ones out there. I think Wellevate is another one, Emerson, but I use full script just because it's the easiest on my end to use and it's what I'm most familiar with now. But the cool thing is they cut out that middleman, so you can get up to 35% off these really high quality supplements. And this is one thing that I do with my clients. So if you're going through that second or third level program, the 60-day LMT challenge, I'm able to create a customized protocol for you from really high quality supplements, and not just, throw whatever at it. I can actually see your vitamin D levels might be a little bit lower. You might need to raise them up. Let's try and get you out in some high quality sunlight and eat some vitamin D rich foods first, but then we can also supplement intelligently.
Yeah. Yeah, you called me out once before for getting I think it was some Nordic Naturals
Yeah,
fish oil. But
yeah.
so how do you know if it's a good brand like Nordic Naturals, ordering from Amazon versus full script or just from the website, how can you still
Yeah.
tell?
Yeah. So that's the
Just
thing.
because
Like,
it might be like outdated.
yeah. So like anyone listening to this, like they're probably thinking like, oh man, like I order my supplements from Amazon all the time. And they might start to like shame themselves. And that's the last thing I want to do. If you're making any intentional decision for your health, like I'm going to clap for you every time, right? Anytime you make an intentional decision for your health, you're doing the right thing, no matter what that health decision
Yeah.
is. But at the same time, it's just when we become aware, we need to start to do a little bit better. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
when it comes to supplements, you don't really know on Amazon. And anyone from Amazon will probably tell you that they're trying to do as much as they can. But at the same time, you have to use a little bit of kind of common sense too and figure out what's going on. But yeah, as far as like Amazon goes, I do my best not to order my supplements through them now that I have my supplement dispensary lined up. But as far as like checking it, I'm sure they're pretty good at not selling you out of date items on Amazon, right? I'm sure they're probably pretty knowledgeable about that because they don't want anything coming back on them. But the truth is, we just really don't know. We don't know anytime we buy things from stores like that. But
Have you ever done like a test or so, like just trying the different like fish oil and see how you may feel after like 30 days or something? See if there's
I have
a personal effect?
I have not done that, but fish oil in particular, if you can freeze it, it won't harm the fatty acids in there. You can freeze your fish oil, which will
Yeah.
actually keep them
Freeze it or just
better
put it in the
longer.
refrigerator? Because I
Put it in the
remember,
fridge.
yeah, that's what I did.
Krill oil, on the other hand, I talk about this in my guide. I wouldn't put that in the freezer. I would put the krill oil in the fridge because the cold temperatures is going to be fine to preserve it. But freezing the krill oil, because the omegas, the
You mean
omega
the fish
3s,
oil?
the krill oil,
Oh,
there's a difference between fish oil and krill
yeah, yeah.
oil, which I talk about in the guide, but krill oil is bound in a phospholipid membrane. And it's a lot more bioavailable to our cells because our cells are phospholipid bilayer. So freezing that can actually break that membrane, like the phospholipid membrane. So you might not want to freeze your krill oil, but you could probably get away with freezing your fish oil because it contains like a different type of membrane than the phospholipid. But if you freeze your fish oil and it actually freezes solid and it's like frozen, that's probably not a high quality fish oil because
Interesting.
fish oil is not going to freeze fully. If you
You
ever
could do it. It
put
would be a good test to try that out.
You could do that, like putting olive oil in your fridge. It might get a little bit more viscous. You could try that out, but you can test that out because it comes down to the types of fatty acids, the monounsaturated, the saturated. Like a saturated fat is going to harden if you leave it out in room temperature, whereas like olive oil is not that hard at room temperature. The same thing goes with these fish oils. You can freeze it and it should still be a little bit more liquid. Doesn't mean it's 100% okay. It could still have been sitting in the light and being exposed to heat and getting oxidized, but just freeze your fish oil and see, does it get frozen or not? And if it does, it might not be all fish oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what tests besides the bioenergetic test? What test do you recommend for getting idea of what supplements you might need? Because you talk about a lot of supplements, and even the bioenergetic test returns with a lot of supplements like recommendations. Um,
Yeah, so I've been looking actually into that more lately to be able to include into my own programming is this WellnessFX testing. Have you checked them out yet?
no, I just heard a bit.
Yeah, they have a few different package options on there, and I'm not affiliated with them at all as of right now. Hopefully, in the future, I can incorporate their testing into my programming. They have maybe 4 or 5 different package options for people. You can go to your local Quest Diagnostics, right? Quest Diagnostics is like just a local place you can get your labs drawn, and what you do is you purchase. Yeah, you just purchase through WellnessFX website, and you just basically they'll send your information over to Quest Diagnostics, and you can get, I think like the beginner level basic package is like $78 or something like that on there, and it tests for just like cholesterol levels, your LDL particle size, random things like your heart metrics, things like that, your HSCRP, so that's your inflammation inside your body. But then they also go up to maybe more of the elite, and you could pay like $1,000 for testing, and that could test for all your different vitamins and mineral status, your B12, your vitamin D. And so if somebody would want to do that, as a doctor, as I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell you, I could read your labs, but I can't physically tell you that you're a diabetic, right? I can't say things like that, but I could definitely read, as health coaches, we can read things, and it helps that my girlfriend's a dietitian too, right? So she's able to have a little bit more leniency and legality purposes, right? With determining some things like that. So we have that option within our practice, but that's one thing I would recommend is the Wellness FX packages. So yeah.
Cool. Well, Craig, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, I'd love to continue diving into more and more about the specific supplements, but I know that we could go on forever about that. Um,
Absolutely.
just kind of begin concluding, what different books or resources on health and nutrition do you recommend that and encourage that you've been able to absorb all this different nuances and things to look for that's really helped you out, and now you're able to help out your clients?
Man, there's so many different. I love to read. I love to listen to podcasts. I love to do my own research. And more importantly, I like to do more unbiased research. I like to do more open-minded research. So I like to learn from multiple different angles, multiple different perspectives. So I'll read books from vegans. I'll read books from carnivores and everywhere in between, right, on nutrition. But then I also make sure that I read books and listen to podcasts that also fill my soul, right? Like spiritual components, relationship components, and things like that. So I'm also really just trying to be a lifetime student, honestly, because, if you want to have great, nutrition in your life, you got to study it. If you want to have great relationships, you have to make it a study. So that's one thing that I love to do. But as far as like books and things that have really changed my life, some things that are coming to my head now as far as nutrition wise. I remember Dr. Kate Shanahan's book, Deep Nutrition, was a huge catalyst for me, maybe reading it like 2 or 3 years ago. That really opened up my eyes and my brain to seeing health differently. Sean Stevenson, as we both know, he just launched his new book at the end of 2020. It's called Eat Smarter. So that's honestly, it's really such a good book. And for people that just want to learn the basics of nutrition and just want to learn the science, but not be overwhelmed by it, that's a great book to check out. When it comes to like personal development, I've read so many books on that, as I'm sure you have too, of course. But there's so many good ones. Principles by Ray Dalio is his name. That's a great book. But there's so many other great ones. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think just talking with you, and hopefully somebody listening will see, just a great, place to start, as opposed to just diving in or taking different supplements or whatever, just any food, a great framework in which to check out one of these tests, or speak to somebody like you, and get a good idea of what's going on in the body first, where they're starting, to then see then what kind of supplements or just natural foods and what lifestyle things to then build on into becoming healthier, and then realizing every moment whenever they're present, they're healthy. But anyways, it's been such a pleasure. I know you have this smarter supplementation guide, the 60-day LMT challenge, and you and Bethany, your girlfriend, have the Healthy Together cookbook. I'm really just like I mentioned in the beginning, it's an honor being your friend, and seeing all the different work that you've been putting together, and how it all has come to fruition, and will continue to improve, because it's very inspiring, and helps me, lights a fire on my butt.
Likewise, man. I could say the same about you. It's good having you in my life.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on the show, Craig.